Hello everyone, we have Pete Jenkins here with us, who is a chairman of the GAMFED, the International Gamification Federation, as well as experienced gamifier. How are you?
I'm very good.
I've prepared a few questions for Pete to answer because, well, you are an expert and we have some viewers who are, asking those questions themselves. So are you ready to kick it off?
Let's go for it.
Okay. So many of our listeners or viewers are HR professionals who are thinking of introducing gamified learning solution into their organization. And I don't know, let's assume they are a large organization. What are the questions they should ask themselves? What's the key points to consider?
I think the first place to start with that is what areas of the learning and development aren't working. Mm-hmm. Right? Why are they looking at gamification?
Okay.
Yeah, because you're all doing something already. Mm-hmm. So, and to be honest, quite often I find in a larger company there's already some elements of gamification going on, particularly in the induction process. Mm-hmm. There might be games people play to meet the right people, and board games to find out about the culture, things like that. And quite often I think the first thing to do is to look at what's working and see whether that can be expanded out. Also, people working on that tend to be a bit more experienced in the game aspects and would like the chance to expand what they can do. So take advantage of the resource you've got already.
Oh, okay. So look around first and find out what you have and then improve on it. Okay.
Improve on that. Mm-hmm. Also, it's always good in a large company to be able to prove the success of some gamification before you go for another project. So,
especially for the board, isn't it? they want some proof.
Okay,
so that was perhaps in a larger organizations where you can actually not realize that you have something already. But you've also, on the other end of spectrum, coined the term small gamification. What's that?
So small gamification to me it's actually a good place to start for most companies as well, which is the idea of using a bit of gamification to have a big impact on a small area of the business. There's a number of reasons for that, but one is I think there's often some quick wins where you can have a big impact through just thinking about some minor part of a process and seeing what you can do with it. For instance,
we got something.
For instance, we just thought about how do we gamify our business cards to make them more effective.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'll leave you one so you can do a close-up. Yeah. But on the back, we came up with a series of challenges.
There we go.
That are aimed at making the business card more effective.
Sure.
Yeah. And we were basically thinking, what are the things we want people to do when we give them a business card? How can we gamify that? And one of the things this does is, for me anyway, is to prove to people that gamification doesn't actually have to look like a game. It's about the learnings from games. So there's lots of challenges of different levels on there. In fact, these are all aimed at different player types of of Andrzej, your Polish emigre, Andrzej Marzuski. His player type Hexad. And in fact, there's 6 player types in his Hexad, and these are aimed at 5 of the player types. Because actually, I don't want
one card aiming at 5 different types of players. That's the beauty of it. Yeah.
And the other one I don't want as customers.
Okay.
So for instance, one of the player types is disruptors or innovators, and so there's a line there, a blank line for them to fill it in themselves to decide what the challenge they want to do is.
So play outside the rules. Within the gamified context.
And there's a nice. It's a nice example of how it doesn't have to be digital either, a game. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, we do the offline gamification as well, and that's the origins, and that they help us think of new ideas. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be online. Yeah,
it doesn't have to be online, and it doesn't actually have to look like a game. It's about learning from games. So that's really useful when you're going to a CEO or something, because they think it's going to look like a game, and it shouldn't. It's about learning from games. And seeing what they do well. I
actually completed the first 2 challenges, so meet Pete in person and connect with Pete on social media. So great, I'm happy. Back to questions.
So small gamification is about going through a gamification design process on a particular aspect of your business or life that you want to get to have more impact with. And I think one of the good examples of that online was LinkedIn years ago had their profile feedback bar. So one small area of the website, but had a 20% increase on impact on how complete people's profiles were.
Funny story. That's my favorite example. In every speech, I give the example of LinkedIn being a gamified platform, but without a story, without the world. But so it's a business context, but it's gamified. But they've actually decreased the amount.
No, they haven't. But what they've done is they've split it out into different areas. So there's like mini quests. You'll see things like join this group to increase your reach by 2%.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah.
And you've got an example of small gamification, in my opinion, here in Warsaw, which is the Chopin benches.
Yeah,
dotted
it's
around the
famous,
city.
Yeah.
So I went and sat on one yesterday and had a play, just so I could.
Chopin is a good ambassador of Poland.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, so the third question is a tough one because we are in a conference for e-learning professionals. And some of them are thinking, okay, so is this new trend, the gamification, killing e-learning, something we already know and are paid to introduce and manage? So what's your opinion?
Oh, I see. I have quite an extreme opinion on this one.
Okay,
which
bring
is,
it on.
And to be honest, that's the basis of my talk later here as well, is to upset some people. In my opinion, people are gamifying the e-learning, and in some cases they're doing it really well. In some cases they're not. They're just adding points and badges, and not necessarily all that well. But there's a deeper layer to it. But for me, it's actually gamification of learning. There are better ways to go about it, and it's worth thinking about. So, for instance, I'm really into trying to get the gamification or use gamification to help people learn better on the job. Yeah, why take them out into the e-learning space when you can actually change something about their platform, how they interact with the work and the process, so that they actually learn better from it.
Yeah.
And
changing something about their tools, the internet-based or computer-based tools, is difficult because that's the scary word of integration, isn't it? I mean, so
it's not necessarily an easy place to do it. And I think the reason that gamification has taken off in e-learning is because that is an easy place to do it. And the simplest way to do some gamification in e-learning is to gamify getting people to complete all the elements of the e-learning. Yeah, so turn it into a story, help people get there to the end.
Okay.
So there are ways to do that well. But I also think that maybe the resources could be better spent doing some work on the actual software that people are using every day, how they're learning from each other, using games to help the culture change go through, whatever it is you want to achieve.
Or a combination of it,
Yes. There'll always be a place for some e-learning in there. So.
Okay, so the death of e-learning is not here yet?
It's not, no, definitely not.
But gamification is not only limited to e-learning. That's your take. Okay. Another question, another area is this gamification of sales force. Okay, so probably one of the first areas in the business context, because in the pro bono context there's plenty of beautiful gamified cases, but in the business the salespeople tend to be those who gamify first, and several of those implementations failed miserably, to be honest. What's your opinion? What's your advice?
I think it's a really interesting question. I got into gamification really through the sales and marketing side and CRM systems and motivating salespeople. Okay, so that's my background into it. And I think one of the main issues with Salesforce is they already think they know gamification. They know competitions and sales competitions, and that means that it's really difficult to get them to do something different because they already think they know what they need to be doing. They're also, and it's not the same in every company, but generally they're already pretty competitive. And so they don't necessarily want to work together, and often the best gamification is about getting people to collaborate and do things better together.
Exactly, together.
A lot of the stuff I try and work on in gamifying CRMs is about rewarding every element of a sales team, because you've got the lead generators as well as the closers, and generally sales work better when you have one of each. And some pre-sale support and everyone around that thing. How do you make them all benefit from a sale being closed and feel part of that team? And learn from each other and the good quotes and things when they don't want to share with each other. And I think that's why it goes wrong. It's because generally the people who've been recruited into sales are individualists who are quite competitive, who aren't really good at sharing. And the best gamification is about getting people to do stuff together in teams.
Changing the behavior, not enforcing the behavior that already is presented. So they're already competitive. So don't add.
Also, they like to be rewarded with money. And lots of gamification is about saving money for the company. So we try and give them other rewards like some status and recognition. They're like, no, just give me the money.
Actually, I haven't prepared that question, but that's another important point. Awards in gamification, because I mean many of companies that I work with or talk to, they think that's the necessary point, that they have to have a budget for awards in a gamified solution, which isn't the case, is it?
It's not. In fact, to be honest, I quite often go in and do a special piece of work around what will motivate the staff. Yeah. And yes, the first thing they always ask for is more money. But as soon as you say, assume that's not available, what else? And actually you get people asking things like what I call power-ups, so ways to make the office work better or their systems work better. Yeah, so
better chair, perhaps?
Better chair, a wider chair, maybe. Better chairs, more reliable Wi-Fi. All sorts of things come out of that. And you think actually the company should invest in those anyway.
Yeah.
But quite often they'll actually come up with team-based rewards. Yeah, we want to go out on team days. We want this, we want that. Nice. We want to actually maybe as a reward we can go and spend a day working for a charity. And you just look at the time. And in the UK, the most requested one of all is extra time off. Yeah, and it's different in different parts of the world, I found as well. So in the Far East at the moment, it's still very money-based, and the rewards should be about maybe gambling the money to be even more money.
Okay.
Yeah, it does depend on the culture, but some work we did in Vietnam was definitely around that way.
We are a nation of workaholics, so perhaps the time off would be good for us, and for the company.
Yeah. And in America, my impression of it so far is to give people a prize such as an experience, maybe skydiving or doing something like that, and the time off to take it. Yeah. Yeah, so sort of double prize.
That's a good combination. Yeah.
Because they're not very famous for taking time off work. So.
Okay, the last question is about the GAMFED, or the federation that you founded.
Well, I can start you there. I didn't actually found it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay. So
for me, you're the face of GAMFED. Yeah.
I've been chair now for 3 years, I think.
Okay.
But it was already founded by various people, mostly in Europe, but also one in the States as well. It's the only truly international gamification body. And that's when I got into gamification, I went looking for something like that to join. And I happened to be like a week before the AGM, something like that. So very quickly I found myself volunteered for a role as treasurer, which no one ever wants to fill. It's actually a really simple role in a membership organisation, so it's fine.
3 years later, I was looking around for the International Federation, found you, and volunteered for the role of ambassador in Poland. So that's what we are doing here.
Yeah, spreading, and basically the point of GAMFED is to spread the word, spread the word, but also spread best practices. There's a lot of people out there. There's over 300,000 people have taken the Coursera course online for free about gamification. Yeah, and at any one time, there's about 10 to 15,000 people taking it live. Amazing. So it's a massively growing industry, but everyone's thinking about doing things differently. They're all coming at it from different aspects. And until recently, there wasn't much academic research around it. I noticed last year there was about 7,000 gamification papers from academics, so it's growing really quickly. But our point at GAMFED is to spread what works and what doesn't, so that as many people as possible can benefit from it.
Sure, and we'll do that in Poland for sure.
That's what we want to do.
The research is another. The results, that's for the board, and the research is for the HR professionals who really want to do things that make sense, rather just follow a fad. So, and gamification does make sense. So.
It does. And the sort of benefits to joining it, obviously, is access to that sort of information, but also we have interesting discussions about how to do things better. So last month in GAMFED's Facebook group, we had a really great discussion around the different ideation techniques all the people who are doing gamification use to come up with their, because you've got to be original quite often with gamification because you need people's attention. How do we go about that? And there's a nice write-up we've just added to the blog about that as well. Okay,
so there's a GAMFED blog, there is a GAMFED fan page on Facebook, obviously. So what does one do to join? I'm an HR professional and I want to join.
Simply goes to gamfed.com and clicks join and pays, depending whether you're joining as an individual or a company. Click the button and join, and then we'll try and reach out and get you involved in stuff. Like you might end up as ambassador, maybe not in Poland, because we have one at the moment, but you could certainly probably do with some help.
We could do with some help and some cooperation, because I mean, educating the market is the most important thing at the moment. Educating everyone, each and everyone, so we can create good solutions, good cases. So gamification has a good name rather than poor solutions with points, leaderboards, and badges.
You're right about educating the market as well, because lots of people have different impressions of what gamification is. Is it a serious game, a simulation? Is it a game?
It's a game plus.
Or it might not even look like a game. So.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to having you, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Sometimes.
Well, let us know what's happening in the Polish market when it comes to gamification.
Or we can discuss a case online via Skype or chat. Okay, thank you very much.
Cheers.